What's up, guys? We're back, and today I'm gonna be your Sherpa into the land of overwhelming revenge. We're reading r slash New Eclair and r slash Supernova. Yeah, I've noticed you guys don't like how I say new clean, so don't worry, I fixed it up. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get right into it with r slash Nuclear Revenge. Crack my skull and make me bleed? I'll break your effing back. Now, this story begins in year 3. I'm in year 10 now. I was bullied severely from year 3 to halfway through year 6. When I was in year 3, the year 6 kids would gang up on me and beat me senseless. And because there was no proof who did it, because security cameras hadn't been installed and parents threatened to sue, no one put a stop to it. When I got into year 4, there was a bully in my class who occasionally called me names, but didn't have a reason to go further. But another, much weaker bully plotted to frame me by putting a letter in his bag from me, calling this bully names I hadn't heard of, but he had. And the bully then punched me to the ground every day till the end of the year. Then, in year 5, he would knee me in the gut or kick me in the back of my knees and beat me to the ground. I moved schools because of this, to a much rougher school. Now, I'm autistic, and I only found out in year 6, but it meant that I sometimes did stupid things, because at the time, I didn't know any better. In year 6, I just tried to make people laugh with said stupid things. But the supposed class clowns, the twins, from now on we'll call the twins 1 and 2, or T1, T2, didn't like that I got people to laugh, and because I had been beaten into submission from such a young age, I was easily manipulated and bullied. They oftentimes punched me in the playground and after school, and when I walked to my mom's work, they would jump me in the alleyway. One day, they decided to break bones. Maybe they had something wrong at home, but Twin 1 opted to hold me against the wall of the bathrooms at school, and Twin 2 tried to bash my skull in with a brick. I've talked about this on Ask Reddit, but I can't remember what happened to that post. I ended up pushing Twin 1 off me, and then I punched Twin 2 in the face, breaking his nose apparently. He staggered back and slipped on some urine. Boys' toilets at schools are disgusting, and ended up landing really hard on the step up to the urinal tray thing. I don't remember what it's called. He ended up fracturing his spine and lost his ability to walk. It was horrible, but by then I had already left. I was bleeding heavily from my head, and I ran to get a teacher to call an ambulance. But I was so scared. I was swearing like crazy, and she didn't like that. So she started telling me off. Pretty stupid, but I left the school grounds and went to the doctor's surgery across from where my mom worked. And they got me an ambulance and took me to the hospital because I had a major concussion and a cracked skull. Twin 2 wasn't able to walk anymore and needed a wheelchair. I lost hearing in my ear from the beating and the years of being hit prior. I regret what happened and wish I could have taken it back, but I was scared out of my mind with this kind of situation. I'm in year 10 now, and in a different school, and I've only seen them once more, a few days ago, and I got the idea to post it here. The only thing I can think of here is how stupid this teacher is. She just sounds like one of those entitled teachers who says, you don't call me Karen, I'm Mrs. P, okay? Just get over yourself and look at the situation at hand, lady. Spread rumors about me? Bully me? You're going to the effing hospital. I was a freshman during this time. I was kinda chubby and had some acne, so I was seen as an easy target for bullying and rumors. One day, a kid started a rumor saying I was a psycho and I killed animals for fun. And before I killed them, I screwed them. Some people thought it was true, but most knew it was bullcrap, considering I'm a nice guy, unless you piss me off. And believe me, I was truly pissed about this. A few days later, I had a plan. I got all my closest friends together and told them the plan. They all walked home, and I got picked up by my parents around 2 hours after school ended, so I had time. The plan was to catch him on his way home and scare him into admitting to everyone the rumors were just that, made up. We had a backup plan, and a backup plan for the backup plan too, just in case he refused. A few of my friends ran home and grabbed some non-lethal objects, so about 15 minutes later, they were hidden in a ditch across the street with airsoft and paintball guns. I caught him in just the right place. There was no cover, and everything went to plan, except for one thing. He had two of his friends, or goons, as everyone called them. I stopped them, knowing I was safe, because there were 3 paintball guns and a full auto gas-powered airsoft gun waiting for my signal. They started making fun of me, but I cut them off and tried to get them to agree to the deal. One of his friends pulled out a pretty big pocket knife, and I knew what would happen if I didn't tell my friends to do it, so I did. They got lit up with frozen paintballs and a mag of BBs. My friends got a little carried away and rushed at the guys laying on the ground and started stomping them. We told them not to screw with us, and 2 of them started crying, and the 3rd was out cold. Apparently, he got hit in the temple with a paintball and ended up with a major concussion. The other 2 got shot mainly in the body. They begged me to call an ambulance, so I did, with his phone, to make sure there was no trace of me ever being there. They all had some broken ribs, crazy bruises, and a few paintballs went under their skin and had to be removed before they broke open. They all had to spend a few weeks in the hospital, and the kid with the major concussion now has a great chance of seizures later in life. The others have scars from the paintballs embedding in their skin. One of my friends came forward saying he was involved because he was afraid the kids would tell the cops it was us. But I knew they wouldn't, because they knew in our school, snitches aren't tolerated for any reason. Alright guys, we are now moving on up to Supernova Revenge. If you don't feel comfortable with this level of intensity, just skip ahead to the bonus. I'm going to put the timestamp right now, so just go ahead and move on over to the bonus. But for everyone else, let's get it going. Psychopathic bully gets his head crushed in by one of his victims. So, this is from my grandfather, and takes place sometime around 1942 in a small town in Idaho. His memory is bad, and so is mine, so take most details with a grain of salt. My grandpa was always a tough person, even when he was a child. A bit of an a-hole even, but this was the 40s, and people were different back then. He was also a small child, and that attracted a lot of bullies. There was one bully, however, who was worse than most. His brothers would usually back him up, but this kid came along after his older brothers moved to a different school and left him with his younger siblings. This was the 40s, so the bully got away with absolutely psychopathic levels of beatings, and he would sometimes involve friends to beat him in a gang. Great-grandfather would not do anything, and he told him to be a man. So he did. One day, Grandpa hid behind the corner of a building where he knew the bully passed every single day. When the a-hole stepped past the corner, Grandpa swung a brick at his head as hard as he could. The kid's skull caved in. Grandpa described it as being like an ashtray, and he hit the ground. Grandpa can't remember if he died or just had severe brain damage, but nobody messed with Grandpa after that. I hope we keep hearing more stories from the early 90s, because it's pretty crazy the crap they let you get away with back then. Bully kids for being gay? Time to put you in their shoes. In my school, during the time I was there there was a lot of social stigma with being homosexual within a school environment. No one ever came out publicly due to the amount of bullying and general assery that would follow, so it was a closed shop. I'm personally straight, a victim of bullying for reasons that aren't related to my sexuality, but a victim of bullying nonetheless. I knew I wasn't able to really stop this on my own, so I just moved on and tried to make their lives better through things like programming clubs. I'm well versed in my knowledge of programming languages. During my 3rd year there, I remember there was a particular little a-hole who I'll brand as D for this story, and he was relentless. His parents were strict Christians, but not in the sense of love and peace, more like hate and repent for things out of your control. They would let him get away with bullying the LGBT kids due to the fact that those gays deserve it for going against God. The school would try everything to prevent him, and in their defense, they did suspend him for a few days. But after the crap his parents kicked up for the incident, he was acquitted almost every single time after this. One particular incident caught my eye when he cornered a kid who was rumored to be gay without having even been confirmed and beat the crap out of him, calling him gay and telling him to repent, more so sarcastically, not in the serious sense. I don't remember the details of the case, but I'm fairly certain nothing came about it due to the lack of evidence. But the victim was scarred. I know this because he attempted to swallow a bottle of pills due to his depression to escape the pain. Frankly, I'd had enough. I began to work on a particular program, which was my first RAT, allowing me to transfer files between computers as well as run commands in admin on their PCs. This was in the before times, before people were big on e-safety, which essentially gave me full control. I sent them these RATs in various forms through disposable emails, so they'd have no idea it was me. I then began my planning, downloading various files of gay pornography, not for personal use, kappa, and began to transfer it. I always made sure it was in places they wouldn't ever look. Windows directory, sample videos, the usual. Then waited. I remember it was a day when we were all in class together. I took out my laptop, sent a single command, which was essentially a function to do one thing: open it all up. The greatest part about this exploit was that it also forced the sound to play through the speakers, as well as blasting it to full volume. Close-ups of the most depraved, poorly drawn, scat water sports yaoi crap. Once that was all open, I just kept resending the command each time they closed it, making sure to only do it once no one could pinpoint it was being done automatically. Obviously, the school informed his parents, and as strict Christians, who remember, hate and repent, were absolutely effing furious. IIRC, they disowned him, and the local Christian community exiled him from this church, refusing to allow him back in. Without his parents, he had to live with his equally, but more accepting and less wealthy, aunt and uncle, who consistently berated him for being gay despite his protests. It was rumored they signed him up for electroshock gay conversion therapy. At school, he felt the hell these kids felt as well, being called gay, beatings left and right. Due to this, he didn't pass any of his exams, and as such, was stuck at a dead-end job for 2 years of his life. Due to the events in his life up until that point, he took up alcohol as a suppressant for the pain, and as such, was swiftly fired from his job for his ethanol-induced escapades. I'm not very sure where he is now, but I know that wherever he goes, he won't bully anyone ever again. And that is the branding I was looking for. Every once in a while, we'll have a revenge story, and then someone in the description will say, oh, they didn't deserve it. And in some cases, in their defense, they really didn't deserve it. In this case, however, some of these kids were trying to kill themselves afterwards. This guy deserved every little bit of what he got, and if not more. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed those stories. Now, don't want to waste any time, let's switch it on up and go right into the bonus, which today is going to be anti-MLM. Let's do it. WorkForStudentsNow.com. $1,500 base, flexible schedules, scholarship possible? Apply today. MLM scam. Why go for adults anymore? Just go on down to young teens and program them while they're still young. Oh, there must be a glitch on our site. No clue how long it will last, but I'm sure they'll catch on soon. It brings the TFX to only $13 instead of $65 as part of the brand new XXX combo. Drop an X below if you want in on this. Lady, you're the online version of the car salesman who says, "These prices are so low, I must be losing my mind." No one believes you. No one. This lady will not stop the grind, even for the happiest day of her life. You know, I kinda respect that, and at the same time, I really feel bad for that guy. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.